Yeah, can you just give us an update on Jalen Hurd and what you know about the results of the MRI if you have them?
We still haven't gotten the result yet. But I mean, I saw something that ACL was reported today. We'll be surprised if it's not. So, happened yesterday. He's at the MRI right now, but it's a pretty unfortunate thing for him. The guys, we know what he went through last year with his back, and the guys worked as hard as anyone on our team to get back, and for him to get hurt before he actually got to go out there and just a freak thing on air cutting. Really felt bad for the guy, but he'll be back next year.
Hey Kyle, this is David. I was wondering if you had an update on Kwan Williams who missed practice.
Yeah, K1's kind of in the same boat as a few other guys like Jordan and Armstead. I forget, we're taking care of him. He could go if he wanted to, or if we really needed him to. I think it was a little calf tightness. That's what I think it was, but nothing too big.
Hey Kyle, it's Tracy. First day with pads on. What are your impressions thus far? I know it's only one day, but
I mean, it's a lot more fun to get the pads on. We definitely need to play a lot more football. Guys are going hard and stuff, but guys die out pretty fast. I mean, just the energy of putting pads on, playing football, getting in football shape. We had our first two periods today that weren't scripted, just move the ball type stuff, and guys die out pretty fast, which is what is expected on your third practice, first day of pads. But it's going to come a lot faster. So the key with the team is guys knowing how fast it's going to come. So that's why it's so important, like what they do between now and tomorrow, so they can recover, so we can get a real practice in tomorrow. And that'll kind of be the theme of these whole 2-3 weeks that we have to prepare till the week that we're preparing for week one. So guys got to just keep rehabbing and taking care of their bodies as well as they can.
Kyle, I don't know how much you were able to watch Nick Bosa and Trent Williams, but is it safe to say that that's something you're really excited about, seeing Trent making that transition back to the game and Nick helping him get there, and also just the kind of challenge that Trent will pose on a daily basis for Nick?
Yeah, it's been real cool to watch. I mean, you got two extremely talented guys. But the cool thing about them is you got two guys who really understand their technique and the position. Trent, with the years he's been in the league, with his talent, and Nick has understood technique. I always joke about since he came out of the womb, because he's been made to rush the passer. So watching those two go together is pretty cool. They had 2 one-on-one reps yesterday. They split them. It's fun to watch them adjust to each other. And Trent hasn't played in a little bit, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, his skill set's still there. Everything's still there. We just got to get him into football shape along with pretty much everyone else on our team right now.
Hey, Kyle Posey, Niners Nation. I was wondering, just with Debo out, do you have an idea of who will start at X and Z, and how have those rotations at receiver gone early on in practice?
No, we don't have any idea who will start at X or Z, or F, which is what we call our third receiver. And even if Debo was here, we still work that the same way. I mean, our guys are kind of all over the place. We mix them at each position. It's been a little tough deal with receivers right now. You know, we've lost 3 guys before we've even practiced who, are expected to make the team. You always got to compete, but, they 3 guys who made it last year. So not having Debo, not having Richie, and now losing Hurd has put us in a little bit of a bind just trying to get through this. It helped huge getting those 2 guys yesterday, and we'll probably have to get another guy here coming up.
I realize that Kendrick Bourne was kind of an under the radar guy as a rookie. Even said, it seems like every year he's been kind of whatever you've gotten from him has been kind of found money. But are you putting more pressure on him? Are you challenging him to be not only a nice accessory piece, but a guy who's an absolute mainstay of this offense now with the injury situation?
I mean, yes. I don't know if you would think there's much difference right now in how we talk to him to how we always talk to him. We challenge to get the most out of him every single day, regardless of what the situation is. But if you go ahead and look at the cut-ups last year, and we had some really good play from Debo and from Emmanuel. But you watch Bourne, he might not have had as many catches and stuff, but just his consistent play over last year, I thought he was one of our best guys, if not our best. So he's always ready when he gets the ball. He keeps running his routes. You don't know where the coverage is going to take the ball. But Bourne's gotten better each year. he's almost the vet in the room right now, which is somewhat funny to us because 4 years ago he wasn't close to that. So it's been pretty cool to watch how he's come this far, and we're just getting started in camp. But I know some of the guys look up to him. He knows the offense real well. He's played all the positions, and he's the same guy today as he was the first day he got here, at least as a person.
Hey, Kyle, it's Cam, and I believe Bourne caught that 40-yard pass from Garoppolo during practice today, and Jimmy had a nice deep ball to Ayuk yesterday. How are you trying to emphasize the need to improve in that category over the next few weeks with Jimmy?
You went out a little bit. Are you saying on deep balls?
Yes, exactly, on the deep balls to Bourne today and Ayuk yesterday, and just overall.
We just when you get an opportunity that the defense allows you to go deep, that we don't miss it and take it. So we want that opportunity every time. Defenses rarely give you that opportunity, especially our defense. They usually got a guy pretty deep in the middle of the field, so you don't get many of those shots. You don't just call a play that says go deep, except at the end of a half or a game. It's called a Hail Mary. So you usually have a deep guy on most of your plays, but it depends what the defense gives you. So the more we can generate that in practice, even if it isn't what we totally do coverage-wise, the more reps our receivers and quarterback get at it. So, and the more opportunities we give, obviously, the better they'll be. So hopefully we can generate a lot more of that in camp, and then you see what the coverages are week 1 all the way through week 16, and you attack them because we're not going to avoid any part of the field. We're going to take the part of the field they're giving us.
Hi, Coach Chris Alvarez from ABC7 here in San Francisco. Being the offseason was different, you didn't have his practices. Where do you think Jimmy is evolving the offense, and how can you open up the playbook this year in the quarterback room?
Jimmy knows the offense as well as he ever will. Guys know it inside and out. It's about what you do best and what the guys around you do best. So it's not about having an off season or him learning more and so you can do more. It's about what we all do the best, and that doesn't just involve him. That involves the receivers, O-line, tight ends, and running backs. So we're trying to get a feel for our team right now and what they do best. A lot of our guys have been here, so we got a pretty good idea. We know their strengths and weaknesses, and we always try to fine-tune their strengths but always improve their weaknesses. And we'll see what we get better at as it goes. But I'm pretty excited with all the guys, and we'll keep working it that way.
Hey, Kyle, two things on Dee Ford. First, just how does he look to you after the offseason knee cleanup surgery? And second, how important is he to your team this year, just in terms of kind of maintaining your defense's level from last year after losing guys like Buckner?
You can tell talking to Dee, whether it was me talking to him on the phone or in Zoom meetings or when he first got here, you can just tell his aura and how he spoke that he felt a lot better. Last year we had to manage him a little bit right away, and you could tell talking to him. And that was our first time really getting to know him. It was always a little bit in the back of his mind. And when he got here, you could tell he was different. He was a lot more confident in his knee, and you could feel it from him. Watching him in practice these last 3 days, I can see it. And he's got more energy in these first 3 practices, coming off the ball a lot better than he did at this time last year in camp. D, we kind of had to get to the season last year, and I thought he did very well when he did, and then we had to manage him a little bit halfway through. He's in a much better spot right now than he was last year at this time, and that's what's great for him because it allows him to practice hard, which allows him to get better, and hopefully we can just keep him healthy so we can continue to practice.
Hi, Kyle. How's Jawan Jennings done in these first 2 practices, and do you see him with his bigger body type being somebody that could, more or less give you some of the things that Jalen would have been able to give you at that big slot position?
To a degree, I think we got a number of guys who can do some stuff. I think Jalen's a little bit different in some aspects, but I think Jawan is a decent comparison. He is big and he definitely has the mentality. He's had 2 practices out there. Today was his 3rd. It's definitely harder for rookies, missing all OTAs, missing all that stuff because they come in and they want to go out there and compete so hard, but they're spinning a little bit. So I throw that with a lot of the rookies, but he's got the mindset, he's got the talent, he's got the tenacity to go out there and do it. It's going to be key for him and a number of these other guys in these short practices, just how detailed they can get and learning what they're supposed to do.
Hey, Kyle, I want to ask you about Jordan Reed. I know he was out there on the first day getting some work in. What is his status?
The same thing. We haven't let him go out there for any team stuff. He's done some routes on air with us and nothing against anyone yet. He hasn't played in just as long as Trent, and he's coming off of a few more serious injuries than Trent is. So we're trying to ease him in. I know his history pretty well. I think everyone does, and we're just trying to be smart with him. That's kind of a day-by-day thing. I expect him to maybe come in more into play next week. But we're conditioning him, getting him ready to go out there and compete. He's keeping up on the offense, and when he gets his opportunity, we'll make sure he's ready.
Well, today's practice seemed to be the same duration, the same style as the two over the weekend. Are you still sort of in ease-in mode as far as kind of getting into a full training camp style practice?
You have to be to a degree. Our first 2 days weren't pads. Today was the first day of pads, which the third day of practice probably would go a little bit longer, but we have a rule to where the first day of pads, it only could be an hour and a half. So you have to go with that. I think tomorrow's an hour and 45. We rarely go over that anyways. We change our reps each day basically on how to let our guys recover. So I think it's something that everyone's going through in the NFL right now. We all get a very good idea how to prepare our team with 90 people over a month time while playing 4 preseason games for week 1. And there's lots of stuff you balance out when you hit them hard, when you have time to recover, when other guys are playing in games that might not be making your team. Right now, we don't have any of that time. We're starting a couple weeks late. You can still have the amount of practices that you can get in, but the recovery time's not there. So we got to be very smart with that and easing the guys in and trying to build it up, regardless of the rules. We are staying under that. We would be doing it anyways, because if we try to make it all up with what we've missed, that'd be great if nobody got hurt. But the percentages of the odds of someone getting hurt when you do that go way up, and that's the biggest thing right now. If you do get hurt with how little time we have, it's going to be very tough for us to now get you out there and give you a chance to make the team. Or if you pretty much already have, it's going to be very hard to get you in football shape. So it's a huge risk that you got going right now on how to prepare guys as well as you can, but also try not to get them hurt.
Hey, Kyle. I know the answer usually is whoever gets open deep is your best deep threat, but who would you say right now is your number one deep threat? Do you care if you have one? And is it maybe Jerick McKinnon? Can it be a running back?
Yeah, if he's going against, it depends. If we're running go routes versus linebacker or safety, I think he's got the ability to beat corners, but depends what you're talking about. Usually your biggest deep threat versus cover 2 zones and stuff is the guy with the fastest 40. You got to blow the top off and run. I think our fastest 40 on paper was Travis Benjamin. And then he left, and I think our fastest one on paper is J.J. Nelson. But we got a few other guys who can run too. Davon's got that 40. I know some of our other guys do, but it all depends what coverages you're going against. When you start with a go route, sometimes the fastest guy is the worst deep threat because the corners know they can run by him, so they back up. And those guys don't always have the skill set to go up and catch the ball. Sometimes your best deep threat can be the slower guy with the best hands. When you go guys like Bourne, guys like Jennings, those guys make plays down the field too on go routes because they got the right hands. Are you going to do that with guys across the field and stuff like that? There you need the 40. So no, I don't have a direct answer, and it depends on the play and coverage.
With the report that Jerron Brown is coming in, is that two-part question? Is that kind of the same protocol as far as 3 days of testing and then hope to have him out after the day off? And also, when you've brought in these wide receivers, Austin, Nelson, Brown, what's the thought process there of bringing in guys who have experience as opposed to just bringing in camp legs?
Because you need both of those. Well, first of all, they got to go through the same protocol. It's tough to get guys in. They got to go through all that testing, so they can't do it right away. It's very tough when you're down to 80 and you lose 3 receivers before you start practicing. Those guys count until you IR them, which there's only one guy we can fully IR now that it was his ACL to not bring back. So we'll be able to get one more number back from that. So first thing we needed the numbers. All right, but when you have those guys who have a good chance of playing week 1. Making your team, guys like Debo, guys like Richie, and they're not going to be there, especially Richie, we know. You better bring in other guys that, we need numbers, but also who have the ability to play in this league and beat people out. And that's why it was important that's why we felt fortunate to get JJ and Tavon when they were out there. We needed numbers right away, but we also need some guys who have the skill set to challenge the guys we already have here. And those guys have proven it on other teams. They proved it coming out of college, and so far they've proved that they're capable of having a chance to earn a spot.